Hello fellow modelers and welcome to this how-to video. At the end of last year I watched a video that Graham Fulston had re-released about his DCC conversion of a Hornby Terrier loco. I was inspired by this to try and do the same to my Terrier, which is the exact same model that Graham has. I am pleased to say that all went exactly to plan and the Terrier is now part of my DCC fleet. Encouraged by this, I decided to have a go at a few more of the older locos in my collection. Most of the locos that I have were purchased around 2001 to 2002. Some were new at that time, whilst others were bought second or even third, fourth or fifth hand at shows and fairs. At the same time, I purchased a quantity of Digitrax decoders that were to be fitted to the locos once we had settled in Canada and were building a 00 layout there. Well, the garden layout there took over and then the music business intervened, so the 00 layout never got started and it was all shipped back here on our return in 2013. The older Digitrax decoders are quite large compared to their modern counterparts, as can be seen here, with the Digitrax and its harness alongside a modern Hornby decoder. This somewhat restricts their use in smaller locos due to their large space requirements. On checking out my older stock, it looked as if I could fit one in the Old Airfix Pannier number 6110, as there was quite a large open space in the cab, so I decided to give it a go. The body shell was simple to remove, as it is only secured by one screw under the front bogie and a couple of location lugs at the rear. To reach the screw at the front, I loosened the bogie so I could ease it sideways to expose the screw head. After removing the screw, it was a simple matter to separate the body shell from the chassis. The wiring of this loco is quite straightforward, with two pickup wires feeding directly to the motor contacts via the normal interference suppression capacitor. The first job was to remove the capacitor and the link to the chassis and cut the wires so that all that was left were two wires from the pickups and two wires to the motor. As I said earlier, this older Digitrax decoder is quite large, but luckily there was a convenient flat area for it to sit on at the rear of the chassis. More space is taken up by the harness, but not all of the wires are required for this conversion. wiring diagram that comes with the decoder clearly shows the usual convention of red and black to the track, with orange and grey going to the motor. It also shows that the black wire goes to the left-hand pickup, whilst the red goes to the right-hand pickup. With just 4 wires from the decoder to be attached to the 4 wires on the locos, all the others were removed. Now that the harness was ready, it could be attached to the decoder. It's a bit of a tight fit, but it finally goes on with some gentle persuasion. You can see here how the body shell has just enough room to accept the decoder and harness, with some of it protruding into the cab. The decoder was placed in position and the wire runs identified. The 4 wires on the loco were prepared for soldering by stripping the ends of insulation and then tinning them with a little solder. Once the motor wires had been prepared, the decoder wires were cut to length, then stripped and tinned in the same manner. Next step was to cut 4 lengths of heat shrink sleeve to fit over the joints to insulate them from each other, thus preventing short circuits. These were then placed on the wires, ready for final positioning and heating at a later stage. The 4 decoder wires were soldered to the 4 loco wires, care being taken to connect the red and black to the track and the orange and grey to the motor bushes. Before going any further, I tested the wiring by running the loco on my short test programming track, which was connected to my Digitrax command station. This was an important step, as any faults could be identified before the heat shrink was positioned and activated. The Digitrax handset is capable of controlling 2 locomotors at the same time via its 2 throttles. For this test, I use the right hand throttle and selected the local address which, as is normal, was factory set to 03. The direction was already set to reverse, so I opened the throttle and watched the loco go forwards. I then selected the forward direction on the controller and watched the loco go in reverse. This is not unusual and only requires that either the pickup wires or the motor wires are reversed. I just desoldered the 2 wires to the motor bushes, swapped them over and resoldered them. Just to make sure that all was okay, I ran another test. Once I was happy that the wiring was okay, the heat shrink sleeves were placed over the connections and carefully heated with a soldering iron until they shrank onto the wires. The decoder was then taped in position, the wires positioned, and the body shell reattached to the chassis. Again, it was back to the test track to make sure that all was well after fitting the body shell. As I said earlier, the loco decoder address was factory set to 03, and naturally I wanted it to be the same as the loco number 6110. To do this, I set the Digitrax controller to programming mode. To program a 4-digit address, it is necessary to push on the right hand throttle to select this. The required 4-digit address is then entered via the keypad, and then the enter button is pushed. The display flashes as the decoder is reprogrammed with the new address. The final test was carried out by selecting the left hand throttle by pushing on it, then selecting the loco by operating the loco button, entering the loco number 6110, and then operating the loco button once again to complete the selection. The forward and reverse motions were then tested using the left hand throttle. The last thing to do was to reinsert the body screw at the front and tighten up the bogie screw. I find that the easiest way to reinsert small screws in confined spaces is to put them on the end of a magnetic screwdriver of the relevant size and shape. Well, that is the way that I converted an old Airfix loco, and I hope that you found it useful and encouraging. If an old fellow like me can do it, then anyone can. So give it a try. See you all again soon. Happy modelling, and bye for now. Bye!